Hey there, so today I want to pick up a story coming out of Bleeding Cool. And I'll have to say that if you want to read a story from Bleeding Cool, you better pick up the pop-up blocker. Why? Because this site, it's pretty much one of those sites that will crash a computer when you go to it. You're warned if you decide to source these things out. Now this story was actually kind of interesting because it makes you wonder exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Mattel, they have lost a good chunk of the DC Comics toy license to Spin Master. Now, if you sit down and you think about some of the stuff that Mattel has brought, because they have had that for quite some time, they've actually brought kind of interesting things to the market. When you think about, say, the DC classics that are mentioned here. Also, when you think about the friendlier lines, the DC Supergirl lines there, action figure offerings and on. But still, when you think about the quality to them, yeah, they haven't been good. Not only that, but when you think about the numbers over the last few years, the numbers have been extraordinarily bad. We had a year within 2017 that was awful. I mean, an awful year. There is no other way to put it. And when you look at this year, well, this year has basically relied on higher pricing for toys while seeing the units continue to deteriorate. Some months, when you go out and you compare, say, month to month, I mean, you're talking about 20% or more within unit reduction. And some of that is really boosted by the higher price items out there. So you have toys that are selling. They're selling high price ones. But when you're talking about that middle mainstay, those things, they are not performing well. That seems to be pretty much the case for anything tied to comics these days. The middle items, they are not performing. And when you look at pricing point, it has to continue to rise and be supported by gimmicks or higher pricing, and you just can't do that. You can't expect that to continue. Even with that, from year to year, and remember 2017 was a bad year, you're still down over 3% both in dollars and in units. So you're talking about another down year on top of a down year. I mean, with toys, this has been pretty much something that is starting to fall apart. So now you're looking at a 3-year deal between the two here. It starts in the spring of 2020. Now, here's what their COO had to say. Partnering with iconic brand like DC is a major milestone for Spin Master and is part of our strategy to invest in successful licenses to further grow and diversify our business. Children everywhere have been entertained and inspired by DC heroes and supervillains for more than 80 years, and we're honored to be part of that storytelling and imagined play. We are looking forward to bringing Spin Master's renowned innovation to the toy line and to sharing more details about the exciting partnership in the next year. Now, it's kind of interesting when you look at this, considering when you think about them, you might not know who exactly they are. When I looked them up too, when I first looked at their site, I thought, what exactly are you thinking about? Until I started looking up some of the brands that are incorporated here. In fact, if you go in and you looked at their brand sites, you'll see things like Airhawks, Boxer, Bunchums, Cardinal, Coolmaker, Co-op, Etch-a-Sketch, Flush Force, Fugler, Gund, Hatchimal. And when you think about some of these brands, they have been mainstays over time, and some of them have pretty much taken marketing by force. Think about Hatchimals, for example. Those things, they continue to perform well. They took the market. I mean, they came out of nowhere. They became one of those hot Christmas toys that everyone was looking for, and they continue to perform. You see many an unboxing video out there. If you look on the shelves of all these different toys places, they actually not only stock them, but they move them as well. That's something that DC, they need. And especially since we're talking about tie-ins, when they incorporate movies and on, you want to be able to tie toys in and to hit the collectors out there. But you also want to be able to hit that next generation sourcing. So those people, they'll grow up and continue buying what you throw out there. I mean, if you're talking about the reliance on a higher pricing point again and again, that says that you're probably phasing out the children. You're probably phasing out the very people that you want to hit with this. You don't just want that collector demographic. No, you want more than that. And really, when we're talking about comics, if you want to survive and you want to thrive, you want to move past that, well, they need to do it. But beyond that, when you're talking about intellectual property, that is part of the game there too. I mean, look at Marvel, for example. That's one thing that they try desperately to do. When you look at toys, when you look at branding, when it comes to hotels and on. And DC, you get the feeling that they want to go down that rabbit hole too. They want to be able to do that so much that they're looking for any way into that market. And well, this might just be a way to go out and to break that typified mold. I mean, it's very interesting when you look at it. I mean, if you look at a lot of the bad, again, QC, they've had terrible distribution, and they want something better. Mattel, I think that they've gotten kind of lackadaisical about that. They have this idea that everything's going to stick with them, and well, I guess it won't. But anyhow, you tell me what you think about this. I mean, personally, I think it's an interesting idea. I think we'll have to see where it goes. But again, Mattel, they're not bringing you anything new and unique. They keep bringing you the same old. And yes, there are problems with quality. When you look at some of those toy lines out there, when I think about some of the things that I picked up for my kid, for example, you know, you would have like a hand that was attached to a head that you couldn't get rid of, or you would have safety ties that would be through the skull. I mean, just insane stuff that when you look at quality control, it should have never been there, and yet. But anyhow, you tell me what you think about this. Also, if you like this kind of content, please consider supporting the channel. Make sure to sub, make sure to like if you like videos, and beyond that as well. If you want to check the description for links, there are ways to continue support beyond that if you would like to do so. Make sure to check for new content daily as well. I try to put up something at least once a day, sometimes multiple times, depending on what I find out there. And leave comments for sure. And above all, I want to thank you for showing up. I appreciate it.